Hey everyone, my name is Andrew Davis, and you are watching Conversations in Pop Culture. And yes, I am scandalous like an Ashley, and I do want to remind everybody that this episode is brought to you by my friends over at Pocket Jack Comics, and they currently have a comic out in comic shops, Guinevere and the Divinity Factory, which kind of came out April and this month. So hopefully your comic shop has copies, and they ordered some in previews. Also, Pocket Jack has a lot of other books coming out in previews, so be on the lookout for them. Go bother your shop owner, and if they don't have it, what you should do is you should go tell your shop owner and your local comic shop owner to go and get some, because it's awesome artwork and all that fun stuff. And they also have a Whatnot channel, and the link is in the description down below. If you're not on Whatnot already, you get a $15 credit for your first purchase when you sign up using code Andrew, as well as get an additional 15% off also using my code Andrew. So enough about that, because I have with me comic creator, owner, publisher, Roland Mann. So welcome back to the show.
What's up? Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
No, I'm always happy to have people on and have people back, and hopefully people still like me enough to want to come back.
Oh yeah,
it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag. You never know what's going to happen on this show. You never know. And let's just say that I haven't announced what's coming later this week, but next Monday is going to be a trippy interview, and I've done quite a few of those. But nice. I'm always happy to have you back.
Nice, good. I don't think mine will be very trippy.
you never know. You never know.
That's right.
But obviously, you got a lot going on. You have a campaign going on right now.
Yes, sir.
With Fund My Comic, which is Luke Stone's platform, and I like Luke a lot. And I interviewed Luke about that platform, and we had a really good discussion about that a while ago. And he's doing a lot of cool stuff. But you also got stuff going on with Silverline. And so I kind of want to catch everybody up in the quick version of what is Silverline. Because there's people who know what it is, and there's people saying, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Because people come into comics in a variety of ways. Yes, and I think it is important that people say, cool, sounds like a cool project, but there's more to this campaign you're running.
Right. Yeah. Well, this is actually my 30th campaign. We have run, we started just before COVID hit, but COVID was, the COVID years were pretty good to us as far as the crowdfunding and all that. But we started before that, just because it was kind of a new thing, right? And we noticed a lot of independent creators were doing it. And so we decided to jump on. So this is not my first campaign. And one of the things I want to say really quickly, particularly for those who are pay attention to crowdfunding campaigns, we are 100% on-time fulfillment. So when we say we'll deliver the book to you, we will deliver the book to you. Now,
we're going to talk about that too, because I got questions about that. Not about you personally, but in general.
No.
Continue.
Yeah. Oh, I'm happy. I won't mention no names. Certainly not in a negative light, but I have a problem with it too. I've backed campaigns and I'm still waiting on them, and I'm like, for a year later, what? You can't do it? You tell me you're a professional and you can't deliver a book in a year? No, I got problems with that. You're never going to get another dollar of mine for a campaign. It doesn't mean I won't buy your book. It means that I won't support your campaign because I can't trust it, right?
Yeah. See. I'll be honest about this. It's complicated, right?
Yeah.
There's people who I love and I want to support, and I do support them, even though they have bad track records or they've had a few bad mishaps.
Yeah.
Because I think, sometimes people make a bad mistake, but my dollar amount goes down. I'm not going to mention names, but I used to back somebody's campaign at $300 every round. Woo. And I backed their latest one at $75. That's a big drop. That's a big drop from me. And, if you see my backer number and you look at that, the first thing I would do if it was my client, I'd be like, dude, is everything okay?
Right. Yeah.
But nobody's reached out to me. And I think, people need to learn customer service matters. But
yeah.
I don't want to get too much into the weeds, but
there's a little, because everybody, it's kind of all the way around. The backer numbers have kind of dropped all the way around the last year, so it's one of those, for me anyway, it's one of those weird things. Do I reach out to folks who have backed and say, hey, what's going on? And I will be honest, I've reached out to some, to a couple that particularly we had some donors or supporters who always walked away with a piece of original art. We've almost always got original art on our campaigns. And we've had some that, almost always grabbed one or two pieces. And I'm not seeing that. So I'm like, I want to make sure that I didn't tick anybody off or somebody wasn't happy, so I've reached out to a couple, but part of my hesitation there is that I don't want anybody thinking I expect them to back. I don't want to reach out to somebody and come across with the ideas like, hey, why aren't you backing? I'm expecting you to back and you're not backing. Why are you not backing? I don't want to come off that way, man. We are so appreciative of the people who back us that I fear that might be something that they would read into the email.
This is interesting, right? Because when I get something that I know that I think a client is going to want in my eBay store, I'm like, hey, do you have this? Because I got one.
Yeah.
I say, look, if you don't want it, there's 4 other people that I'm reaching out to, but it's not even listed yet. And I know you're into Star Wars, and I know you're into Mount Olympus, for instance. And I have a client who she loves Mount Olympus, and she loves Star Wars Mount Olympus. I'm like, I didn't even list this one yet.
Yeah.
I got you if you want it, but if you don't want it, I'm giving you the first right of pass.
Right.
Because that to me is not pressuring. That's saying, hey, I know you like A and you've bought a lot of this stuff from me in the past.
Yeah.
And if you want this, I didn't even list it yet, and I'll build a custom listing for you and only you.
Well, I agree. And I think that is excellent business practice, but that's a little different, I think, than running a crowdfunder, right? So if you have a crowdfunder and you have, different tiers of rewards, and someone who's usually dropping, as you mentioned, $200 to $300 a campaign simply so they can get original art with the books, and then suddenly they're not doing it. I don't want it to cut. That's different than saying, hey, they know it's there, right?
But that's the thing, though. See, I'm going to challenge you slightly because there's been things that I've missed on Kickstarter. I'm like, how the fuck did this thing get past me? Like, no. I'm like, dude, I wanted to back your campaign, and we're on day 17. I didn't even see it.
Yeah.
I didn't even see it. I'm like, yo, dude, when's your campaign? He's like, oh, dude, it's been running for 2 weeks. I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't see it at all.
Yeah.
So sometimes, it could very well be that I've missed things because nobody just notified me.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know something was existing because I got so much going on. So if somebody said, hey, Andrew, I got my campaign running, I'm like, oh, cool. Great. If you know that I've expressed interest in anything, and I have Excel sheets with people's names in it saying, oh, this person usually runs something in May. Should probably look out and hit them up in April to see what's going on. Or somebody has a book that comes out in June every year.
Right.
And or somebody has a Pride book, for lack of a better word, and they're launching May and June. Great. I'm not going to hit them up in January. I'm going to hit them up in March.
Yeah.
Because I'm just systematic in that way. But I don't mind reminders, but I also don't want anybody an obligation.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we try to push everybody because, the algorithm, everyone's always talking about the algorithms. And I've heard people say before, hey, I didn't know you had one going. And I'm like, we post on Facebook, we post on Twitter, we post on all the social medias. Aside from me reaching out to you individually, what we try to do is I try to push people to our newsletter. We've got a newsletter, but I've even had people who subscribe to the newsletter said, I didn't see it. I'm like, I sent you a newsletter. I don't know what else to do.
It's interesting because I don't advertise my eBay business.
Yeah.
But I also have a lot of merch that advertises itself.
Right.
And I purposely built a business now and slowly are transitioning into that, where when you sell hot sports cards, those things at the right price for $7 or $7.50 are going to sell themselves, or $8 are going to sell themselves. Right.
Yeah.
And it just what happens that the sports figure is selling it for me, and then the price works. And then I have other merch that I guess works well with it, but I don't advertise my eBay business all that much because I find that it doesn't work. What does work is tagging eBay the right way on eBay. YouTube is similar, where tagging on YouTube works super efficiently. And that's what I've learned in the last year. In the last, 5 months, the reason why I'm growing on YouTube is because I'm learning how to tag and properly situate videos correctly for the right audience. And I think that's part of the problem right now on Facebook with Kickstarters is that nobody knows how to situate something appropriately.
Yeah.
And it's when you post, I got a Kickstarter going on, what time, what channels, what Facebook groups, who's going to advocate, who's going to see it, and where they're going to see it, and even what shows you're going to be on. even if you can get on those shows.
Right.
Another thing too that's very complicated right now.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Yeah. So
But
yeah, I don't know. It is a tough time, that's for sure. But yeah,
let's get into this campaign a little bit, because
okay.
this is a team up,
Yes, it
and it's
is.
Miss Fury with Champion and some other stuff going on in this. And so, what's the basic premise for those who haven't heard about it? Because I think it's Silverline team up. I can't speak to issues 1 and 2. I think it's
Yep.
the second issue is the new one, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
it is. Yeah. And let me show you this this beautiful foil cover here, metal cover. Check that out. Isn't that gorgeous?
Yeah, no, I like foils. Foils are
Yeah.
nice. I have a bunch of foils.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is just a mock-up, but this is what it's going to look like. So so yeah, so the team up idea is basically so as Silverline builds its world, right, there are a lot of characters that are unknown. Now, most people know me because of Cat and Mouse, right? No, most people know that there's Cat and Mouse from the 90s. I recently revamped them. And they've kind of they kind of inhabit this little world, the Silverline world, set in New Orleans, that kind of thing. So, so Champion was a character that saw its debut in the volume 1 of Cat and Mouse. I want to say it was issue 2 or 3. I'd have to go back and look. And then he had his own little story arc around issue 14, 15, something like that. Then he appeared in the Demon's Tales miniseries that me and Paul Pelletier and Thomas Formonti did. And he even stopped by briefly in the Silverstorm miniseries. So he's kind of been floating around on the edges. And I wanted to bring him into the universe proper. I mean, it's always been in that, existence. This is not like a multiverse thing. But I didn't, it's like, I got to find a way to do it. So I've had this story itching about him that I wanted to tell. But, recently, in recent years, Miss Fury went public domain. Now, what some people may not remember is that I wrote a Miss Fury miniseries in the 90s. It was the very first, to my knowledge anyway, it was the very first Miss Fury to appear after the public domain content of the 40s. It wasn't public domain then, but the 40s stuff showed up. Miss Fury ceased to exist. There wasn't anything new. There were reprints and stuff like that, but there wasn't anything new until I wrote the miniseries for Malibu Comics in 1990. After that, she appeared briefly in the Protectors that I was editing, and that was written by R.A. Jones. But this was 1990, so I've been itching to tell more stories about Miss Fury as well. So we had the story. We had these two characters, and we wanted to bring them in. We didn't think Champion alone was strong enough of visually of a character, that kind of thing. We're like, we don't know that there's who wants to buy a book just called The Champion. And don't get me wrong, I love the character. I think he's a good character, but we weren't confident enough in that character to have him go alone. And since I wanted to bring Miss Fury in anyway, I said, well, why don't we have Miss Fury? Because she's a sexy heroine, and we're like, we'll bring her in, and that gives us kind of that sex appeal that the Champion is missing, and we'll have the two tell a story, right? That's how that happened. Well, the problem is we couldn't come up with a title, right? We were like, what do we call it? What do we, so we're kicking titles around right and left and all this kind of stuff. And just between the creators, just our little group, we were calling it Champ Fury just because we couldn't come up with anything better at the time. Well, I sent some covers over to Mike Belcher, who does a lot of our he does a lot of the lettering, does a lot of the production work for us, that kind of thing. And I said, look, hey man, I need a logo for Miss Fury. Here's what I'm thinking, blah blah blah. And so when he sends it back, he has a mock-up on the cover that says Silverline Team Up, Champion and Miss Fury. And of course, I look at it and I just kind of laugh. I'm like, haha. Wait, that's kind of cool, actually. So I took it and I showed it to Pete, who's a penciler, and Tommy and Roberta. I said, you guys, what do you think about this? What would you think about just calling it Silverline Team Up featuring Champion and Miss Fury? And then, of course, they all loved it as well. And so that's how that title came
So
about.
let's talk about this a little bit, because obviously parts of this come out of Cat and Mouse,
Yes.
and then other parts are brand new,
Right.
and then other things come out of the other parts of the Silverline universe to some degree, with
Right.
Champion, and there's some stuff that's going on with Champion.
Yeah.
But then you have a public domain superhero-esque character, because I don't consider Miss Fury. She's kind of weird, right? Where
Yeah.
she is sort of a superhero, but she's not.
Right. She's like a Batman. She's just a highly skilled person in a costume.
So I consider Dynamite did Masks, which
Yes.
was
Yeah.
Kato and the Shadow and Green Hornet, and I forget the other one who was in Masks. But I consider Miss Fury to be kind of in that vein, where you get that type of character, and there's a lot of fun stuff that can happen with that.
Right.
But what is that like? Because when you take a public domain character, I could do the same character and I could tell my own
Mm-hmm.
story with Miss
Yep.
Fury. And but what is that like? Because now you have to make her your own, but you're
Right.
going to obviously keep certain elements of it, because there's no point in taking Miss Fury and then revamping the whole thing
Right.
and
You might as well just
transferring
create a
it
new
into
character.
something else.
Yeah.
Defeats the purpose. But then at the same time, how do I make her my own that says when Andrew wants to do Miss Fury, it's not going to be similar, or it's going to be different?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's the challenge. What I'm trying to do is keep her true to her 40s roots. I read all of before I wrote the 90s story. Malibu sent me photocopies of the newspaper strip. So it was a newspaper strip initially, right? So they sent me all the photocopies. I wish I still had them, but I don't. But I read them. I read them all and took copious notes about the characters and that thing. Again, keep in mind it was the 1940s, right? So I took all these notes about the characters, because one of them was we had a German spy in there because it was during World War II, and there's all this kind of stuff. And so what I did is basically said, all right, well, that was in the 1940s. If we move forward, what, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 50 years, how might these characters have changed? And so in the 1990s, Miss Fury, she was the granddaughter of the original Miss Fury, right? So here's the thing. I know that the Dynamite Miss Fury exists. I know Billy Tucci's done it. I'm not going to read them, right? Because not because I don't like them. I love Billy Tucci's work, right? But because I know that I want to work with Miss Fury. I don't want to see what they've done, so that I can't be accused of, oh, well, you got that from Billy Tucci. No, no, no. All of my source material comes from the 1940s that I read. And of course, now the 1990s is not the miniseries I did that's not public domain. That's owned by Marvel. So I can't directly reference that, but because I'm smart enough as a writer to get my way around it, I'll figure it out,
So let's actually talk about this, because
Okay.
Dynamite did Bad Kitty, and they brought Bad Kitty back. And it's tricky, because when you're bringing stuff back from the 40s or the 50s or the 90s or anything like that, there's people who say, I don't even know who the hell this character
Right.
is.
Right.
And so what is that like? Because you don't want to spend a boatload of time introducing,
No.
Miss Fury. I know Miss Fury from Dynamite. I enjoyed Dynamite a lot, and I enjoyed what they did with her. But at the same time, you want to get to the heart of this story and this team up. And so
Right.
what is that like too? Because it's tricky, because somebody's gonna be like, "What's Miss Fury? What the hell's this?"
Yeah.
Because
Well,
yeah,
so we kind of opted to go the route of make the assumption that no one knows who she is, right? If you are a fan of Miss Fury and you know her story from the 1940s, there are going to be things in the story that you will catch on to that the readers who don't know who she is won't, right? They won't get it. Now, it won't affect their enjoyment of the story, because here's this Miss Fury character, and they're like, oh, I don't know, let me learn about Miss Fury. So they'll learn about this Miss Fury that we have, right? But one of the things, like in the first issue, she has a line that that says something like It would have been cool to do this as a mother-daughter team, right? Talking about her mom. We could have been Miss Furies. He says, ultimately, it's what killed her, but I know she died doing something she loved. That's all. That's all that's there, right? So if you're an original Miss Fury fan, that makes you go, wait, how did the original Miss Fury die? I know what this is, right? But how did that die? If you've never heard of her before, you're gonna go, oh, that's sad. Her mom was Miss Fury and she died too. You know what I'm saying?
And even to go further, because obviously they're teaming up,
Yes.
and you got Champion, who is not a known character,
Right.
and you have Miss Fury, who hopefully is known or not known, or somebody saying, "Oh, cool superhero name," right? If
Right.
you hear the name Miss Fury and you've never heard and you don't know anything about her, at least you're like, okay, we got an interesting entity here in a
Yeah.
team up book. So
Yeah.
you have something that catches the eye and the name. And then what is that like? Because now you're introducing a character that is not a Silverline character with a Silverline character who hasn't exactly been in the spotlight.
Right.
And I don't know if this is going to be canon or it's uncanon or it's partially canon or it's now new canon. I'm not too sure how it fits into your whole Silverline universe, but at the very least, it's a Silverline story, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
So what is that like? Because at least now Champion is getting some eyes on him, one way
Yes.
or another.
Yeah. Oh, and it will absolutely be canon. This is not. We're not going to do.
It's a fair question. It's a fair
Yes. Yep.
question
We're
because
not going
there's
to do
plenty of
anything that.
stuff in anime. Like I'll give you an example. I'm a big One Piece fan, and all the movies are not canon. They're not canon, but they're great and they're beautifully done. They're like, man, this would have been a great story. Why is this not canon? It
I didn't
sucks.
know that. Yeah, it's going to be canon because part of the purpose behind this is to help help populate the Silverline universe, right? And so by bringing Champion and Miss Fury together into New Orleans, that gets them there to already get ready to be ready to take part in the universe, which Champion's already been doing a little bit, but Miss Fury is new. And you ask about Champion. So part of what we've done in this story with Champion is that when we saw him before, we got the his origin, right? Real brief, his origin. He showed up in. He was originally known as the Chicago Champion because what happened is he made the news pulling all these kids from burning buildings. Right? He rushed in. He wasn't. He tied a mask around his face to protect him from the smoke. Right? But he ran into this building and saves all these kids. So he became the Chicago Champion because look what he did. And so he decided then that that's how he was going to do good. Fast forward a little bit, right? We really didn't know anything about him as a person, right? This story gets into who he is as a person. We learn what it is that he does. We learn what his job is. We learn about his family situation. We meet one of his best friends, right? And obviously, there's going to be some turmoil here because he's divorced. He's a divorced father of one, and so we never knew any of this before, right? All of this is new information about Champion, and our part of our reasoning behind doing this is because readers need to know who he is, right? New readers coming in need this information if they're going to know and love him. Old readers are like, yeah, we've seen this guy around a little bit, but we don't know much about him. He just showed up here and showed up there, and was mistaken identity here, and had a little fight here, but we don't know anything about him. This miniseries is going to give them the opportunity to get to know who he is and what makes him tick.
And then obviously, I mean, I don't want to ruin too much of diving into the comic per se, because I want to talk about some other stuff regarding this as well. But obviously they're teaming up and
Yes.
they're dealing with some criminals, and they may or may not be Champion, may or may not be ready, or there might be some other stuff in play here going on as well. So obviously there's a lot of stuff going on, and this is the second issue.
Yes.
And so that's kind of what's going on. And guess they're going to figure out how to be a team or who needs help or if even one of them does need help at all. But I don't want to ruin too much there because obviously I think we all understand how team up books somewhat go.
Yeah.
Partners either love each other, they need to help each other, they're in each other's world, or something else
Yeah.
happens for all we know between partners sometimes. But anyway, I don't want to ruin anything. But I do want to talk about the other side of this.
Okay.
Which is you are on a different platform than what you're usually on.
We are.
And
yeah.
I don't know. It's a very Granica-esque platform. No, it's Luke Stone's platform. I couldn't think of a good joke. Victor Stone would be very happy. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Victor Stone would be very happy. But anyhow, what prompted you to go to fund my comic? Because I thought Kickstarter was good, and I like Kickstarter still a lot, but apparently a lot of stuff's going on in comics that I may not be aware of, apparently.
So we discovered, so Kickstarter has some really nice analytics, right? You can find out all kind of stuff. And again, we were with Kickstarter for 25, 26 or 7. I've lost count, campaigns. So, we did a lot there, but one of the things we saw in our analytics was that, we were pushing all of the traffic there. We weren't getting anybody at Kickstarter that just said, "Oh, look, we found this campaign." There was nobody at Kickstarter going, "Let me just browse around. Oh, look, there's a campaign. I like that." Right? 95% of our backers, I'm not kidding with that number. 95% of our backers came because we sent them there, because they either saw us post on Facebook, they saw us post on Twitter, they saw our newsletter. Our newsletter drove a whole bunch of them there, right? So we got to looking at it. We're like, what is Kickstarter really doing for us? They're taking more than 10% of what we get, and they're not really bringing any new customers to us. They're not bringing any new backers. They're not bringing any new supporters. And so we kicked it around a lot, and we're like, well, why are we there? We're just there because it's comfortable.
Let's actually talk about this a little bit, because
okay.
This is, and I don't know, and I'm going to be shooting randomly here, and I might be putting my foot in my mouth slightly, and I'm probably going to upset people. I wonder if part of the problem is that we have a lot of people now in the Kickstarter crowdfunding space who have businesses that run, advocate, promote Kickstarters.
Yeah.
And that might be part of the problem, is that
I agree.
if you're not using their services, you have to drive all the traffic versus that those people are being paid to drive traffic. I'll state something, and it's going to get you and me both in trouble, but I interview people in the adult world, and Stream8 is one of the biggest campsites, and they take almost 60 to 80% out of every single models that they bring in.
Wow.
But people forget that Stream8 drives hundreds of millions, if not billions, of views to that website. So when I'm speaking to a cam model and she's making low six figures in pure profit as her salary at the end of the year, she's like, I'm happy to give Stream8 60 to 80% of what they bring in, because I'm making $250,000 a year.
Right.
So that means that she's generating them $1.5 million.
Right.
So, but they drive all the traffic. And I think this is where, and I'm curious how you feel, not about the Stream8 component,
right?
But the idea that I think that that's part of the issue with Kickstarter right now is a bunch of people are using services that quote unquote drive traffic. And if you're not doing that, and whether they will admit it or they won't, these people, because I think people have internal people who are driving traffic, and they also hire outside services. That's why that's just my thought off the top of my head.
Well, I think the other thing is, and how do I word this carefully?
I'll throw out another thing too, is that who's the client for Kickstarter? Am I the client for Kickstarter, or are you the client for Kickstarter?
I'm not sure either one of us are anymore. And that's my point. I'm not sure.
Let me rephrase my position.
Oh, the client.
You are the client for Kickstarter.
Correct.
I'm the client for you.
Right.
So if you're only bringing in 9K, Kickstarter says we're happy for your 9K, but
Mm-hmm.
this person over here is bringing in 90,000.
Right.
And so this is an issue. So now you owe me a fiduciary to get me my book.
Right.
Kickstarter doesn't owe me shit.
Right.
So that's the difference. I'm not talking about the product.
Right.
Obviously, I mean, I'm still a user of Kickstarter. There's a difference between a user and a client.
Right.
Very big difference in those words. But the reason why I ask it is because I think also there's been a shift where Kickstarter will drive traffic to what's going to get them $15,000 in fees.
Yes. Right.
And I understand why.
Yeah. Oh, I do too. It's a money thing. And yeah, so I think they, we've done, like I said, we did 20 something campaigns, and we never got a projects that they love. Right. Because I mean, lots of reasons, but we're traditional comics, action, superhero, science fiction, the kind of comics that aren't geared towards a specific demographic. They're geared towards, hey, anyone can. Look, this is a superhero book. Anyone can pick this up, right? It's got a gal in it, got a guy in it. They fight bad guys.
If I give it to a 12-year-old, the 12-year-old's not going to be scarred for life.
Correct. Yes. And so I think there's a lot of subsections over in Kickstarter that are chasing demographics that they don't push towards us. And I'm not sure that we'd ever get those demographics, right? We don't fall into the categories of the kinds of things that they want.
Not safe for work?
They're not safe for work. Yes, that's right. Yeah. I got nothing against those books. It's just not our demographics.
So to even go further into that, because one of the things, and I'll be honest, I don't really care either way about this, is that whether you get charged up front or you get charged on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
I like to be charged on the back end just because I move a lot of money around, and I'm always moving debt from A to B to C to D, especially when you have a business. It's very helpful to move debt into lower debt situations or utilize debt correctly. It allows me to leverage money out efficiently and effectively. And it allows me to buy merch on credit, which is really helpful in a lot of ways if you know how to do it. But fund my comic, I think you get charged up front, which solves the problem of not getting a back charge.
Yes.
Because I know that Corey Hardyman had like $3,000 worth of canceled pledges.
That's crazy.
No. If you're doing 27,000, the ratio, or you're doing 40,000, the ratio is a little bit different than if you're doing $1,000 and you have $300 canceled. I mean, the ratio is similar, but not the point. It stings a lot. But if you do 40,000 and you have $3,000 canceled, it's not as bad as if you did $3,000 and you had $500 canceled.
Right.
There's a big difference in money and goals and funding when that happens.
Right.
But what is that like for you? Because I know a lot of people are having backers cancel or not paying right now. And I think it's sometimes important to get paid early. I love getting paid on eBay. I send out something, somebody buys something, and within a minute they pay me. I love it.
Yeah.
So much better because now I have their money.
It took some getting used to it for us because we're like, hey, what's this money? Oh wow, look, we've got money already. And so that was a bit of a surprise. Yeah, and we didn't have a whole lot of folks back out, but we did. We had a guy pledging to our camp about 3 or 4 campaigns in a row. He'd come in and he'd pledge like $1,500 now, and for us that was a lot, right? He'd pledge like $1,500, and then the day before the campaign he'd cancel it. And we're like, dude, come on, it's like don't play with me like that. Just don't pledge, right? You're going to do it, just don't pledge. After the 3rd campaign, I actually contacted, and this is, I'll give Kickstarter credit. I actually contacted Kickstarter and said, look, these are screenshots. This is what this guy has done. Same backer, I said, can we ban him from, they're like, oh, anyone with a credit card can back. I'm like, yeah, but here's what he's doing to our campaigns. And so I don't know what they did, but they made it so that he couldn't pledge to our, probably all of Kickstarter, I would guess. But he didn't pledge anymore because he would, Again, none of them went through. He pledged big numbers, right? But none of them went through. So we'd get this, $1,500, $1,800, $1,200 pledge, and then the day before the campaign ended, he bailed, right? So it's a change for us, and I think it's a change for some of our backers too. But we the thing that we kind of hinge upon is like, look, and I know the problem is new backers don't know this, but it's like, look, we've delivered 29 campaigns on time. So if that's your concern, put it to bed.
I'm going to be honest. So I've been burned a lot.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm not happy anymore. And it's not just on Kickstarter. I'm owed merch from a lot of people. I put up a post. I don't know if you saw my post almost 6 months ago. And a bunch of people were a little bit shocked. They had a lot of response. I said, I'm owed almost $4,000 worth of books.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just Kickstarter. And then somebody's like, what do you mean? And once I outlined the value, people were like, oh my God, you are actually legitly owed a lot of money.
Yeah.
From a lot of people. And it might have upset a bunch of people because a bunch of people's names were on there that you would not expect to be on there. Some names were expected.
Yeah.
Mount Olympus was an expected client of that book. But Tom Hutchinson was on that list, and he was not an expected client. And people were like, wait a second, you're owed a lot of merch from a lot of people, and this is bullshit. And people were like, where's what are you owed? And once I categorized it and I explained it that this is the cost, this is the MSRP value of it, and this is what they typically sell for, and this is a conservative estimate of what I'm owed, they're like, oh my God. And so right now, I mean, I'm very, very hesitant to back.
Sure. That's why you need to get behind Silverline, man.
But
100%, dude. We've got 100% success rate.
But
100% on-time fulfillment.
This is my whole issue: is that I'm just very, very skeptical to back.
Sure.
I do a lot of vetting, and I'm also like, cool. Like I'm looking at the market, and I'm looking at all this stuff, and I buy for my business and I buy for myself, and it's tricky. And I have a new policy that if I'm buying for my business, it's like I can't wait more than 90 days.
Yeah.
I can't wait more than 90 days. I can barely wait 60. Because I can't anymore afford to be in a credit position. And even as a fan right now, I'm just sitting tight, to be honest. And it's nothing against anybody's project, but I'm just like, I don't really need merch. I'm carrying a lot of books. There's a lot of books I could read, and I'd rather read it digital for $5 anyway. Because it's not even, I don't know where to put all this shit. And I'm also really, really skeptical. And my faith is very tested because there's just been situation where there's no communication and people are massively late. Goal lines have been moved. People said they were 3 months ahead and they're now 9 months behind. So like my faith in this whole industry has been massively tested.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think another thing you hit on is that there's so much there, right? There are let's just say, the ones that you do get, that's still a lot of books. Everyone has a to read stack, right? But my to read stack has gone from about this high to about this high, right? It's sitting right over there on my desk over there. And it's because these are things projects that I've backed that have come in and I haven't had a chance to read. I also read novels, right? So I got to mix that in. And I think a lot of people have a lot of stuff to read.
My read stack is the size of this.
Yeah.
Plus another one, plus one over here, and plus one over here.
Yeah.
And my read stack, I'm reading a lot of manga right now.
Yeah.
And it comes out weekly and I read it digitally. So my read stack is huge. It is just a lot of digital, and I read a lot on Comixology.
Yeah.
And again, I just don't want the waste, and I also want to say this book sucks.
Yeah.
And I just remove it right from Comixology, and I find the next one. And same thing with manga. Shonen Jump's app costs me $3 a month. It's dirt cheap, and I read a lot of chapters. And I'm laying in my bed at night, the lights are off, and it's 11 o'clock at night, and I could read for 40 minutes. It's the same thing with my iPad, my Amazon Kindle app, and my Nook app. I have a lot of novels, and that's where I'm at. So
Yeah.
I'm a different beast. But I'll be honest, like a lot of the shit I'm reading is not good. It's not
Yeah.
good. I hate to say it, like $15 for a book, $20 for a book, and it's not good. And I'm like, I'm not gonna buy issue 2 of this.
Right. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
waited 6 months for it too, and
Right. Yeah.
$20, and I gave you my money so you could produce some more of it. Like,
Yeah.
no, thank
Yeah.
you. Like,
Yeah.
and then also I'm looking at this too, saying like, I'm also running a business, so do I really want to fund somebody else's?
Right.
And I'm in a unique position where, and this is gonna sound really bad, but like, I'm like, I don't really need to support everybody either anymore, too.
Right. Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
that's how I feel. I mean, it's just, I think it's tough, and I just think that product isn't good. I think a lot of books should not be funded right now in indie comics.
I agree. Yep.
But I think it's gonna bite people in the ass.
Yeah.
Because I'll ask you this, right?
Mhm.
The way I'll state it, and I'm gonna get in trouble for it, is that I think Kickstarter is 80% marketing, 20% good book. And
Um,
crowdfunding, I really think it's that right now.
I
And
think it's even worse than that. I think it's 90% marketing, 10% good book. I don't think there are that many good books on Kickstarter, to be honest with you. I just don't.
I mean, we could
Uh,
go all the crowdfunding collectively. We're
well,
using
yeah,
Kickstarter.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just easier to give it one name.
Yeah. I think when I look around, and I haven't browsed over there in some time. But I remember when I used to browse over there, there's just nothing over there. I mean, occasionally they'll have a good book and you go, ooh, this looks really good. I need to get it. But for the most part, I'm like, who let this person do this book?
I'll be honest. The last good thing that I bought off Kickstarter was Patch Hand's Destiny New York. But Destiny New York has a track record. I'm excited for Volume 6. I'm not happy that it took Pat forever to get that thing shipped out.
Yeah.
That was not good. You had my money since September 2023, and I'm getting the book in July
Wow.
2024. You're a little late, bro.
Yeah.
Your deadline was a year. I'm sorry, and I understand, and I have a theory about why people are late now on campaigns. For 3 reasons, but it's the 3 obvious reasons. They're not keeping their artists on a tight enough deadline, which is tough.
Yeah.
They are either that's one reason they're economically struggling because you got
Right.
multiple projects and project A and B, and then C needs money's A to get C across the line, and then you pay A back, but that delays A's
Yeah.
productions, and then costs have gone up, which means you got to subsidize your positions or reevaluate how you're shipping, or you go to China to ship because you're going to print another 5,000 copies. It's the same as printing 10,000 copies in America,
Right.
and that delays it because it's got to be in a cargo container, and then the Suez Canal gets jammed up again. So there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
We haven't printed anything in China yet. We print everything's still printed here. Like I said, so I think our last campaign we said because ours is basically 60 days. So when the campaign ends, I think the last campaign ended. When was that? February. We promised them June 1st delivery. They've been gone for 2 weeks.
it's crazy.
So yeah, completely fulfilled. Like I said, June 1st was our promise date, but they're already completely fulfilled.
That's wild. That's just wild.
You know, that's just that's who we are, and that's just what we've done since day one. We had one project in which we ordered T-shirts, which was something new for us, and our T-shirt vendor was late, so we had. I think we only had like 10 backers with T-shirts. So we got everything out but the 10 people who had T-shirts. And I messaged every single one of them and said, look, here's the deal. I can send you your books now because you're right. Or if you can give me a little bit of time, it'll save me some money, right? Or I'll if you'll give me a little bit of time, I'll send you the T-shirt with the books. If you want your book now, I'll ship it and then send your t-shirt later. Without fail, every single one of them, because they were multi-backers, every single one of them like, no, you hang on to it a little bit. Well, we got the t-shirts the very next week, and we were able to ship out those last 10, and I think we missed them. They got out shipped by our date, but they didn't arrive to all of them on time. I think by like a day or two. So that's the latest we've ever been.
So I mean, look, that's also an issue I have, is that I'm just getting fucking tired of waiting for books.
Yep.
Because let me ask you this, is that I can tell you as a customer that if you're a year late, I don't even remember backing the project.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm not excited. Like, and I'm not going to use anybody's book, but I just got somebody's book, and I'm not really all that excited for it.
Yeah.
I'm not. When I backed it, I was so excited, and I interviewed them, and I'm like, oh man, it's going to be awesome. And then here in like 2 days or 3 days, and I'm like, I'm not excited for it. Now, conversely, the Zenescope card set for Wonderland should be here hopefully by Saturday. I am enthralled. I can't wait. I'm like jumping for joy, and I backed that last November. So I'm really excited for that.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm really into the card space. So it just so happens that I'm running a business that is entrenched in this.
Right.
And that I'm spending a lot of money in that sector anyway right now, and probably for the foreseeable future. In the next 3 years, if I spend $100,000 on cars, that would be an understatement.
Yeah.
Hey, how was I in that Caitlin Clark card today? Anybody saw my Facebook post? This is called big boy card collecting. When you're looking at a $25,000 card, that thing sold for $24,921.
Wow.
Within about 6 minutes of it going live.
Man, it's crazy.
I was not the buyer. I want to make that crystal clear. I was not. At 15,000, I would have been. We all laughed. But you would have been like, hey, I would have got on stream the day around. Be like, see you guys. Big boy card collecting.
That's right.
But it kills me. But I am curious how you feel about the industry, though, because obviously we've been talking about this, and I think it's really interesting because, again, I think there's a lot of stuff going on. I think the economy is a disaster, to put it nicely. I think things are more expensive. I think the fact that Burger King costs almost as much as going out to Texas Roadhouse costs at this point. And I think there's a lot of problems, and I'm curious how you feel, because it seems cons are doing okay, but I don't even know if that's true either. And so,
yeah, I think cons are so. I think we have to be careful, because I think of cons as comic cons. 99% of the people think of cons as going to see, the cast from, Different Strokes in 1990. I don't consider those cons. I guess they are, but they're cons. I think those are doing fine. I think people are paying to go see these television stars and movie stars, but they're not really paying to see comics.
I'll rephrase, because I don't know if people are doing well at any convention as an artist. I don't know if people are doing okay. I don't know if people are making money. I don't know if it's worth their time. I don't know if they're doing good, because you got to be seen and heard. And it's important to be on Facebook that I'm setting up at Motor City Comic Con today.
Right.
Even if you only make $500 or you break even, it's this perception, right?
Right.
So I come from the world where you either make money or you don't.
Yeah.
And it is black and white for me. There's no gray about money. There could be gray about an asset class you carry. I understand that when I buy a card and I'm eyeing one, and I hope I get it, it's going to be a fight for it, that it could take appreciation, and that could be great, but that's an asset class.
Right.
But, I will lose money in the short term on it, but I will make hopefully a lot of money. That's what I'm hoping for. But I don't, because that's how I feel when I see everything on social media. I don't know what's real anymore in the industry about that, because I see a lot of shit, and I'm like, are you economically stable as a company? Are you economically stable as a business model? Are you economically making money at cons? Are you breaking even?
Yeah.
Or is it the idea that or what's your margin? And I've asked these questions and nobody knows how to answer it. And so I am just curious. I'm not asking you personally any of those
Yeah.
questions. You
Yeah.
complete the fifth at any point, but like, I don't know if the industry is in a healthy position, and I don't know if anybody's really making money in comics.
I don't know anybody, to be honest with you, who comes back after a show and tells me I made so much money at that show, right? I just don't know anybody who's been like that. I know people that have gone to shows and said, "Hey, we did pretty good. We met some new fans, and made some new people, and I paid for my trip up there and my hotel room, kind of thing, But I don't know anybody who's just raking it in. And they may be out there. I'm not saying they don't exist, but I don't see anyone posting that. I don't see anyone, in the sort of the private circles talking about, hey, I made so much money at this convention, you got to go, right? I do think that a lot of folks go to conventions because for multiple reasons. Number one, I think there's the camaraderie at a convention. You get to meet people that you haven't met before, right? You get to hang out with the people that you like, but also gives you the opportunity to make new fans, right? And part of what we thrive on, part of what we and this is what we're talking about, like within Silverline all the time, is that we got to find new fans. We got to find new people who are willing to try our books, who are willing to give us a go, give us a plop down their hard-earned money for a product that they've never heard of before, maybe from creators they've never heard of before. We need to do that. And so that's one of the reasons that we try to go to shows, is try to meet those new people.
No, see, I mean, again, I haven't been to a con in almost 5 years, and I have no
Yeah.
desire to go back. I had a really bad experience as a fan, and
Oh,
as a presenter, and then COVID hit, and then I had a really bad experience applying for something that was a local show that I felt disrespected on. Whether that's true or not
yeah.
is relevant. It's how I felt.
Yeah.
And feelings are real when you've been presenting at a con for 7 years as a fan, and then they treat you like shit. And I'm like, do you know who I am? And then I went through my resume, and they said, well, we could give you like a $20 off coupon. I'm like, you don't get it. You didn't get it yet.
Right.
In which you didn't understand that last year I did 6 panels for you, and you asked me to do a 7th, and I did it. And this is how you treat me.
Mm.
You don't get it. And then I just said, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
And I left DC. Not, but for that reason solely, no. I'm a principled man, everybody. But but I don't want to be at a con. I don't think that's where it's at. I actually
Yeah.
think online space is where it's at, and I like the fact that because I can be global, and I would rather compete on the internet and reach as many people as I want
Yeah.
as humanly possible, and sell to as many people as I want, and I sell all over the world.
Yeah.
I've sold to Australia, I've sold to the UK, I've sold to Spain, I've sold to Germany, I've sold to a lot of US military bases all over the world, and I've sold to almost every state now. There's like there's 5 that I'm missing. 5. Texas has been. Oh no, it's not Texas. I'm sorry, it was too easy. It was too easy. I think I'm missing Alaska, and I think I'm missing Iowa, and I think I'm missing Oklahoma, which is crazy. I got Utah, and the guy bought from Utah bought like $1,500 worth of stuff, and I'm like, bro, what the hell? Like he had the most like rancher name possible, and he's buying the most like thing you would not expect in comics, and I'm like, oh my god, this guy is. Like, I really want to just like FaceTime the guy. Like, I just want to see what he looks like because I have this image of him being like a rancher, and he just wants to read his Zenoscope books like on the side. But no, he's a good client. but like that's what I think is that I think the future is online, and I think it's going to remain online.
Yeah. Well, we're definitely seeing a lot of folks reading online product, and I've become a big fan of Global Comics Express lately.
Yeah, no, I had a conversation with one of their founders and one of the things and potential advertising, but I don't think it was the right fit. because I don't
Yeah.
think that I could help them the way they needed help or were interested. But we had a good conversation nonetheless.
Yeah.
And but again, I mean, I get that they're integrating with a lot of people and that, but I don't know if they're the answer. I don't,
Yeah.
because it goes back to traffic. This is the whole issue, is that global comics is missing a huge capital position to drive traffic the way StreamMate drives traffic to that site,
Yeah.
because they need billions of views on that site, and then they need paywalls. And I know their problem. I know their problem inside and out. It's just really hard to do it in comics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoever can figure it out in that with that type of platform and that traffic
I
will
agree.
solve the issue completely.
Yep.
Even if everybody's comic is 25 cents, if you have a billion views, you'll all get filthy rich.
Yeah.
But again, if they want my consulting fee, I'm here, guys. Gold Comics coming up. I have some ideas, and I could probably introduce you to enough people. I can tell you the person they should hire. I know the person, Bella French. She is the person that they should hire. She's the CEO of ManyVids.
Okay.
There's a common theme here. Because again, this is traffic. That's all
Yeah.
this is. It's just
Yeah.
traffic is what's needed. But
Yep.
I digress.
Absolutely.
But again, I know all the people that they need. I know all the people they need, and all they got to do is just give me a call, and I may know a few people who could help them out. Of course, I will take my nice little fee out of that. But not the point. What I want to buy a WNBA team, guys. 50 million is a bargain for one of those. Come on, who doesn't want to buy like the Fever and like, oh my god, I would have a field day buying that team.
I don't even know who they are.
They have Caitlin Clark. I would embody Mark Cuban. It'd be great. Be yelling at refs. it'd be so much fun. Like, oh my god, it'd be so much fun. I'd have a blast. It'd be like me in like a candy shop. But enough about that. I am curious though, even going outside of the concept, where do you think pop culture is going? Because that's the other thing too that I think is interesting right now, because it's related. I feel at least it is. And I'm curious what you think about that, because where pop culture goes, comics goes, and everything else kind of goes too. So where do you think that's going? Because I think that's an interesting position as well.
Well, I think one of the biggest fears about pop culture right now, or maybe not fears, but one of the biggest realities is all this AI generated stuff. I mean, AI is getting to be, and we knew it was coming, right? But AI is getting to be so good and so powerful. I know someone had played a song for me the other day. They said, "Did you know this was a real 1940 song?" And I listened to it, and I'm like, "Yeah, no, I don't think that's real." And of course, I didn't spend too much time looking it up, but I think someone just generated a funny, vulgar song that sounded like it was from the 1940s, and I'm like, yeah, no, that's not real. And so I think we're going to see a lot of that. I think we're going to see it continue to make its way into fiction. I think that, we're already struggling. This is a big debate we're having the last year about AI generated artwork. And the thing, the frustrating thing to me is, like, as a writer, it's like, I kind of get it, because it's like sometimes, I am completely, because I don't draw, I'm completely at the mercy of an artist. One of the things that I always try to, I want the artist to like me, right? Because we got to get along, and I want to like them. I want us to try to have similar kind of goals in mind. It's like Pete. One of the things that Pete and I talked about before we actually started doing the Silverline team up is we're both big fans of Spider-Man. And well, as our Tommy and River, actually the whole team, we're big fans of Spider-Man. This book actually has a very Spider-Man spirit to it, right? But that was the thing that we kind of got along about, right? It's like, hey, we like Spider-Man.
Interesting, because I have a co-host that I do a show with on Fridays, and we have similar values, we have similar comedy, we have
Mm-hmm.
similar positions, and it's very hard to work with people who do not have similar values,
It
similar
is.
comedy views that you do, or similar novel views, or similar show tastes. You
Yep.
know, if you are a big fan of cop shows and somebody hates the police, it could be very, very, very hard to get along.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an extreme
No,
example.
but you're right. Yeah.
But if me and my sister, it's hard for us to get along because we have different values and we have different thought processes on things. And I don't think it's a secret. I tend to be more libertarian, more conservative. She's extremely liberal, and I tend to have more of a quiet, non-flashy life. And I don't want to go anywhere. And I'm relatively conservative financially and calm. And she's kind of a little bit of the opposite. And he wants to be out there and about it. I kind of want to be just sitting, sipping my beer on my Friday night in peace.
Right. Yeah.
She wants to be, at dinner with a bunch of the other mothers from the PTA. And I'm like sipping their wine. I'm like, yeah, not for me. I want to be in my bed, watching like television. It's very hard to get along. And I think it's an issue. But the AI stuff, I mean, I'll be honest. I've said this before. I'm not necessarily a fan of it, but I think it's necessary. I think it's actually forced artists to get better. And I think that before they weren't challenging. I think they've gotten complacent. And I think it's complicated. I get shit for this, but I think a bunch of artists have become complacent and they put out a lot of shitty work in the last 5 years. And I think AI is totally shit.
I also think if we were to go back 30 years, a lot of the comic books being made today would not be made. Okay. Because we have print on demand today. When I did Silverline in the 90s, I had to go to
000, right?
Yeah, I had to go to print with 3,000 copies, right? And that was black and white, right? So we had a minimum print run of 3,000 copies. Today, I can, my printer, and I'm proud of my printer. My printer's Kablam. I can go down and I can print 10 copies. Hey guys, I need 10 copies. Okay, here they are. Anybody can do that, right? And that's part of the problem is that there's now it's a good thing, right? It's a good thing that it's opened up the doors, but the problem is there's a lot of people who shouldn't have walked through those doors, and so it gets to be there's a lot of junk out there that you kind of have to sift through.
This is the issue with podcasting, right?
Yeah.
This is the issue where I think I run a relatively professional show that treats it professional. There's plenty of people who go hop on a mic, say, who the hell are you as a guest?
Right.
I have an objective on this show. I have questions. I think about what I want to write. Now, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Okay. But that's just life by nature. But at least I have an objective where I'm like, cool, if I'm interviewing this card game's mascot and they did 200,000 on Kickstarter, we're going to talk about your card game and I'm going to do some serious homework on this. I've read your book. It took me 10 minutes to read your book. How many times have you been on an interview where somebody hasn't read your comic? And
a bunch. Yeah.
Now, I haven't read everything from Silverline, but I don't think you expect me to.
Right.
So I haven't read. No, that's not true. I did read Teen Beetle, but I'm trying to think of a title I haven't read. Right? There's stuff like
you've read a bunch.
There's like the Friar one that I haven't read.
Right.
It's just it never happened is the point. But you don't expect me to. But I've read Cat and Mouse. I've read this one. I've read Teen Beetle and a bunch of other stuff. So there you go. But a bunch of people should not be podcasting and be on the air.
Right.
And a bunch of people should not be in comics. To be honest, a bunch of artists should not be in there either.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole issue where a bunch of artists have overpriced themselves.
Yeah.
There's a list. There's legitimately like 20 artists who have overpriced themselves, and they've also overproduced themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. In which it's a mess.
It is.
I don't want to do a comic. I don't because of this. I looked at the numbers and it just seems horrible. It seems hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but
yeah, it's not easy. But yeah, it's what are you gonna do, right?
I'd rather just sell your book instead. Much easier. Much easier. I can go buy a $4 Caitlin Clark card and sell it for $8 all day. And then I could go and buy like 50 of them and make, after eBay fees, make a clean 120 on it, get my money back, find the next one and do it again, and then buy a stock and like my dividend every month while I'm legitly watching Naruto. It's awesome. It's awesome. And then the craziest thing that I ship all from eBay and I don't have to worry about a damn thing. It's wonderful. It's so wonderful. It's amazing. And so why the hell would I want to create anything when I could do that instead? So much easier.
It sounds nice. Yeah.
But that's how I feel. But again, I'm not creating comics. I'm sure people are gonna hate what I have to say. People already hate what I have to say. I'm open for a debate. If anybody wants to debate me anytime, anywhere on my viewpoints, I have opinions and I'm willing to back them up. And if you go on Facebook and you state your opinion and you're not willing to defend it on air, that's all I'm gonna say to everybody is that that's just it. Your opinion is what you're worth defending it.
Yeah.
I digress, but I know you got to go to class.
I do. I have a class.
We're all still learning here.
Got to pay the bills.
I heard the professor is a real difficult grader.
He is. He is. Well, the one thing that he is that he tends to get fussed at about is that he does not like late work. And so many of my students get upset. Why won't you accept this? This is late, but why won't you accept it? Because it's late. It was due last week, not today.
Well, my boss understands every once in a while I'm late, but usually there's a good reason why I'm late, like a tractor trailer turned over. I'm sorry, I'm late. You see this picture? And it's like, he's like, I get it.
Yeah.
Because he has 2 kids, and so every once in a while he's late. It's like, did you see what my kid did? And I like,
yeah.
We're gonna have one of those days, and that's my response. We're gonna have one of those days.
Those days, yeah.
You win. But if you're never late, and then you're late one time, you're like, "Yo, dude, are you okay? Like, are you okay?"
That's right.
Anyway, I do want to give you a chance to promote yourself. So where can people find you, bother you, hit you up, all that fun stuff?
Sure, I'm on all the socials. If there's a social network, I'm probably there. I can think of only one in my head that I'm not there. Not active on all of them. I tend to be more active on Facebook and Twitter. But you can find me with Silverline Comics, silverlinecomics.com. We stream a couple times a week. My team is the Sunday team. We stream Sunday nights at 8 p.m. So Eastern time. I got a team that will I won't be with them, but there will be a team that will stream tonight. I'll be in class. There'll be a team that will stream tonight, I think at 11 p.m. Eastern. Mostly geared, targeted towards all those West Coast folks. And then of course we've got Wednesday Wham that runs on Wednesdays. And I drop into Tuesdays and Wednesdays sometimes, but not that much. Those each day has its own team. But yeah, so we talk about our comics. We usually we have some images that we'll post up, and we're always sharing, like, look, this is what it looks like, and this is the beautiful foil that you can get. It's only available on the crowdfunder. So just look me up and find me there. I'm pretty good with follow backs. I don't follow a whole lot of people. I'm not that forward or aggressive, but I'm pretty good with follow backs and friends and all that kind of stuff. If somebody sends me something.
Yeah, and then I'm just going to keep saying is you got to support what you want to see get made. And what that means is obviously backing people's crowdfunders, things of that nature, as well as checking out what they do on social media, whether they're streaming on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, wherever else they're going. Following people on social media is really helpful. Engaging is also really, really helpful as well.
Yes.
That goes a long way. Goes a long way. Just a like, a hi, how you doing? Or even just saying, hey, man, love your work, and a message. Trust me, plenty of people have bad days, and it really is helpful. Speaking from personal experience, when you're having a rough day, and it's like, really enjoyed the show last night. It goes a long way. Um,
Yeah.
so keep that in mind, everybody. You know, doesn't cost you any money to be kind and nice.
That's right.
And kindness will win the war. This is only the first half, so keep that in mind. But obviously, that's kind of out there in that regard. And then, as far as I'm concerned, I am on social media all over the place. Twitter X is Pop Anime Comics. Instagram is Pop Anime Comics. Facebook is Pop Anime Comics. TikTok is Pop Anime Comics. YouTube is Pop Anime Comics. And there's a lot of fun stuff on YouTube. 1,400 plus videos. So there's something for everybody. Adding a lot more content in the next probably 3 months. Trying to get up to approximately about 2,000 videos and interviews and a lot more content. Got an interview on Friday. I'm not too sure if it's going to be live or if it's going to be pre-recorded and released Saturday or Sunday. That's up in the air right now. And then I got a live interview on Monday. That's going to be one hell of a trippy interview. And it is completing the triumvirate, as I like to call it, which is Sasha Nakamoto, Lil Fujimoto, and Evie. I can't say her last name because it's really hard to pronounce, but they are something else is a good way to put it. So 7 o'clock Monday, Memorial Day. I get it. You know, Tuesday's going to be a rough day for everybody. I got it. But your Monday will be rather interesting. So that's what I got going on.
That's right.
As far as eBay, I am on the eBay. So come look for us for your comics and collectibles. Come shop with us on eBay at Pop Anime Comics Collectibles. And I carry some awesome merch like this right here. In hollow foil, all 15 of those I have. All 15 of these I have. I do have some of these left over, and there is a nice rumor regarding her and what is going on with her and everything surrounding her. So definitely be on the lookout for those. I only have a few of those left. And speaking of foils, I have some beautiful foils right here. I have all 10 of these, even though they're labeled 20, because apparently there was an error in the print. But yeah, you want one of these, you got to buy them through me. So deal with it, everybody. They're on my eBay store, and they're nice and expensive. So I think I'm asking like $75 for it. But if you say, hey, saw your show, would you sell it to me for $70? Probably. So
yeah, there you go.
So you could go do that. And that's pretty much everything I got, as well as I do carry a lot of cards like this. But apparently everybody's saying I can't see it. I can't see it. I know they're there. I feel them. They're in top loaders. They have tape over them. I contacted the company, and they're like, we waited too. And I'm like, great. And I'm like, could you see it? Because I can't see it. Like, no, we can't see it, but we sold it to you anyway. And I shipped out a bunch to my clients. I'm like, yo, dude, Andrew, I waited. I felt it. I opened up the tape. Something came out, but I still can't see it. So apparently it's a problem because nobody can see it. It's very upsetting. It's a very upsetting card. So that's what I carry in my store, everybody. So come and if you want to not see cards, I got you covered. But on that note, I'm going to give you the final word.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks again, Andrew, for having me on. As always, I've enjoyed it. A lot of fun chatting with you. Always learn something. Yeah. And if anyone's listening to you, never heard of us, my only ask is that, give us a chance. You gotta take our, if you've never heard of Silverline, you've got to take our on-time fulfillment record into account for something, right? I know that there's a lot of people being burned, but having done, this is our 30th campaign, so having done 29 before this, and shipped all 29 of them out on time, I can't promise you that you're going to love the book. I hope you do. I mean, I wrote this one, so I hope you read it and you'll love it. I can't promise that you'll love it. What I can promise is that I will deliver it to you when I say I'm going to deliver it to you. And to me, that's half the game. So give us a chance, give us a shot, get over there. Only way you can get this foil is to back the campaign. These will not be available once the campaign is over. We will print. We print to the number of backers we get, plus a few for the creators. Usually about backers plus 10 is about what it is. But that's it. Won't be any more. So if you want the foil, don't think, well, I'll wait and pick it up next year. Not unless you can pry it out of the hands of one of our backers, you won't. So books will be available. Regular edition books will be available, but not the foils.
Fair
And that's
enough,
it.
and I don't know I could have wrapped that up or said it any better than you did. So I believe everybody that is a wrap.